There we go. Now I have sound again. I love Windows updates. They suck. Okay, my machine is being just absolutely amazing. There we go. All right, I got my links posted everywhere. I got things posted there. I got things posted there. Look at that. I'm reaching out to human beings. Ooh, I got some notifications here. Responding to John Hill over on X. Oop, I can say the words and type the words. Bam. Okay, there we go. So, how's everybody doing out there? I am just listening to some old 80s music while I work on this book. Because I never get a chance to write on this stuff lately. And now I'm doing it because, well, I really, really want to get back to working on this book. All right, here we go. Boom. All right, so we got sound now. We got me. We got music in my ears. That's not the music I want to hear, though. Let's go to the next track here. All right. A little bit of Huey Lewis in the news. All right. Going over the section on creating the campaign. And how I prep for stuff. Right. Where was I at in this section? I thought there was something. I left myself a note. But now my note doesn't make sense to myself. Oh, that's because I already addressed it. Never mind. All right. I'm curious how many people run that run games at home have or use modules as opposed to I'll do something quickly here as opposed to homebrew. I know a lot of people who do paid games do modules because it's way easier for them to do a paid game with a module because they can run the thing over and over and over and all the work's done for them. I'm just curious how many DMs that are professionally paid for it do homebrew. I've got to think it's a harder sell because the people coming in, unless they know you, have no idea what you're capable of and if your module is going to suck. So they like to kind of rely on the fact that things are published, so it must be good, which, as we know, is not really always true. Sorry, I've got a discussion going. A small discussion. It's mostly just one or two people and I talking on X about VTubers. Hmm. All right. I'm at this section. Okay, here we go. Preparation. You need to do it. There's no getting around it, even if you purchase a shiny module from somewhere. Hello, Mr. Fantastic Sarcastic. You're a homebrewed, you're in a homebrewed paid game. Oh, nice. Thank you for responding and letting me know that. Now, is this somebody who you knew before you got in the homebrewed paint game, or is it somebody that you just said, "Hey, they look cool. I'm gonna jump in and throw money at them"? And look, fantastic, sarcastic. I said hello to you. You're not one of the people. You are the people. And I apologize for looking a little bit like a drowned rat when I was outside this morning. I got a micro shower, a micro burst, just rain, boom, came down while I was out quite a ways away from the house. I got a little wet. No, but you knew the players. Okay. So you knew players in it, and by their recommendation, you're like, we're gonna do this? Okay. And you'd never played with that DM before? Because at the moment, you're in the minority of group or the minority group of people that I've talked to about this because there are a lot of people who are new to the game. There are a lot of people who aren't new to the game, but most people seem to still gravitate towards a paid for module experience because they kind of know what they're going to get. They hope they know what they're going to get. They have preconceived notions of what they're going to get. Let's go that route. Found him on the old Gilded. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so you did know them. Oh, okay. All right. That's a little different, yeah. We also helped shape the world with decisions so it felt like our game, not just his. Yeah, and here's the trick, and that's some of the stuff that I'm putting in here in this book and why I'm writing it is because I know a fair number of people who are DMs who get a module and they run it. And if they're paid, it doesn't really matter a whole lot either way. A lot of times they feel like their customers expect it to be the module. And I've had some reach out because I've put out questionnaires before with people, and I've had some people tell me fun stories about how people quit their games because they were running a module and there was a section of the module that didn't make sense. So one time, one person cut it out, and the person was so pissed off and so mad they felt like they got robbed of part of the experience, literally experience, and they felt like they weren't going to get to the correct level because they'd run through the module, and they expected and they knew how things were supposed to be unfolding. So they kind of went into the module. They played through it before. It was a Strahd thing. And the person was livid and left them a bad review because they took something out. They were like, oh, I don't know. I thought it improved the module. And other people have added characters, changed names. If you have trouble pronouncing a name, you can change it. It's a paid module. It doesn't matter as long as you remember who the person is and go with it and do it down the road. Um, you paid money for the module, and you should be able to tell the players that are coming in, hey, I may be changing things for, I don't know, brevity's sake, or I didn't like this, or this is problematic. The same way that a lot of people are championing for players being able to say, "Oh, I don't want to talk about that subject." While that's controversial in and of itself, uh, I think that the person running the game should have enough control to allow the players to make decisions like that and influence the world. I mean, it's way more fun. And I have an entire section, well, two sections of the three sections of the book on preparation, execution that go into depth about that. Of like, why isn't Lydia the cabbage seller somebody that you could interact with? Sure, somebody in the group might just say, I hate people who have freckles. I'm going to go kill this person. Other people maybe just decide, you know, that cabbage seller gave us one bit of good information. We have to protect her at all costs. And now they become like the protectors of this cabbage seller who's just an NPC. So I kind of like that fun. And it should be that way. It should be a collaborative storytelling with rules and guidelines. You don't want the players completely taking over the narrative and then the DM just sits there like, can I explain what's going on? They're like, no, we're on a roll. That I've been in games like that, and it's a little tedious. A bit. Let's see here. Huh. Okay, there we go. And yeah, I take preparation seriously in a completely different way than other people. That's why I'm writing this down, because the number of people I've talked to who are DMs who stress and kill themselves getting ready for every little contingency, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's way better ways to do this. Not everybody can do it though, because they can't let go of, you know, having notes on everything. And that is completely fine. That's their way of doing stuff. I feel modules are always constrained by linear track. At some point, the module has to get back on its rails. Yeah, and it's tough. Like in Cthulhu, Moss took a couple of optional sections out of the module because they weren't necessarily leading us anywhere that we were going. But we've also taken a little bit longer doing some of the sections, which is normal. Yep, hit story beats. It'll end when you get there. Yeah. And if players are like totally, it depends too on what's going on in their lives or what they're actually experiencing in other parts of other games or even in this game. They may just want a break. And if the game is like, no, there's not supposed to be a break. The story pacing is this. And it's like, okay, you don't know the story beats that they've created in the other sections, because where you think it might have been kind of like a lull in the action, players may have chaos weaseled themselves into something ridiculous. And then the next part of the story is, okay, here comes a big climactic battle. And everyone's like, ooh, well, that's going to hurt. Players are just madness. It's fun though. Hello, Croissant. Popcorn and eyeballs. Do. Yeah, I was expecting that if anybody got on my little chat that I was having on X, that I would get some hate. But I think I placed the question out there neutral enough that it's going to get some answers from a couple people. Anyway. All right. So yeah, I was saying preparation, you need to do it. There's no getting around it. Even if you purchase a shiny module from somewhere, you still need to understand what's in it. Writing's going pretty well. I've been sitting here for hours working on stuff, and I was working on my machine over there, getting it set up for streaming. And then I hopped over here to do more writing, and I wrote for a while. I was like, oh man, I should be online doing this. And then I saw that Aruda is going on, so I hopped over there and chatted with you guys while I was writing. And then hopped out of that because it was driving me crazy and distracting me at the same time, which takes a lot to actually distract me while I'm doing stuff, because I can usually do a few things at once. But I was listening to music and watching that, and I was like, it was a little painful. So I hopped out of the stream there and just focused on listening to music and doing this and talking to people on X. You're not alone in chaos. No. Yeah, GM who knows how to scale battles is important. I have been in so many games with so many people in the last 40, little over 43 years. I've been DMing and running games where either people look through a monster manual and they go, CR, blah, 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 blah. Or they say, these are level 15 monsters. We should be able to do one for each 2 members of the party. They have 2 clerics, so I'll add another one. And they balance it out, and they're like, this is perfectly balanced according to the numbers. And then 2 bad rolls, the players are like, we're dying. And the DM's like, oh no. And they have no way of like playing around with the story or doing anything to kind of make it feel like it's cinematic or whatever. They don't even have to fudge rolls. They could just play with the way the combat's happening, introduce something, change things around. And I've had more than one DM get thrown by like a Savage World system where people can throw a narrative hook into the game. Some DMs hate it because those hooks are stupid. And some DMs hate it because those hooks don't make a lot of sense. Some DMs hate it because they just can't really think on their feet that well. And they'll just be like, wait, you did what? Oh, and it'll just derail the entire fight. And I'm like, oh no. But I've had other DMs who they don't care. They are like, if the players can't think their way out of this fight, they all deserve to have their characters die. And it's fascinating. I think it's fascinating. I've been through so many campaigns with just murderous DMs that expect the players to understand how the characters would interact in the world and should know this stuff for their characters. And if they don't, they're like, do some research. You should know how to trap an animal. Do you know how to skin an animal? And they're like, well, no, my character does. And they're like, and why didn't you do the research to figure out how it works? You're just coming up here and saying, I want to do this complex thing. I'm like, but that's what the skill rolls are for. I'm not a healer, but my character should heal. So it's really weird. It's really weird. The little bugs that get in people's heads. Oh, it's still driving you crazy. He is not a platformer. Man, the jumping. I'm bad at jumping puzzles. Irudai kept doing the same thing over and over. I'm like, no, left, up. Your group would wipe the floor with 2 Manticores and barely survive a trio of giant constrictor snakes. I've had more with some of those killer DMs. We had, I guess it was technically only 2 parties in 2 different adventures in a campaign world that were wiped out by wild dogs. I mean, for one thing, if you've ever been attacked by a dog in real life, it's no joke. They're nasty freaking animals when they want to be, and they don't care about your sensibilities and doing anything the way you think things should be done. They will go for you and they will keep coming at you and you will not have a break. And if you have a pack of them coming at you, I don't care if you got a sword in your hand. You're going to be in trouble because they will dive in all your blind spots and nip and tear and bite. But there's something to be said for a heroic game where the guy with the sword, the people with the spells and things could maybe scare away a pack of dogs. And this killer DM guy is just like, nope, these dogs are focused on you. And if you don't kill them, you're all going to pay the price. And yeah, a couple critical hits later, the entire party is dead on the ground being eaten by dogs. Like, yay! After they just got done killing a troll warlord and all his minions. It's like, okay. 1 chaos fixed. Ooh, nice. Phone had an update and it changed my power off button to an AI assistant. Oh. Wow, that's pretty dumb. Yeah, dogs, like I said, dogs are not a joke. People are like, oh, it's okay. He's not really going to hurt you. Like, well, you can say that. Normally, you can say that about a chinchilla. Maybe, maybe anything but a large cat. Even a little bastard of a dog could do some serious damage because they don't really have that much, restraint unless you got a lab, a golden lab, or even a black lab or a chocolate lab. They're about as likely to hurt you by laying on you and crushing you as they are to actually nip at you or bite you. Other dogs, though, even little yippy yappy dogs, they can do some damage. Animals are fast. Animals are fast. You made them flip a coin to see if they flee? I've always told everybody in my games, you guys are heroes. If you run from a fight, it can be cinematic. It doesn't mean, oh my gosh, we suck and the DM won. It means you've made a choice and you've done something. We can turn that into a fun part of the adventure. Then you come back stronger and get them. And most of the people in every game that I've run get the impression after a couple of sessions that I'm not there to screw them over or kill them. I'm there to challenge. I'm there to tell a story. If they get in a situation where they have totally put themselves in a crazy amount of danger, normally they know they put themselves in a crazy amount of danger. I will give them hints and I will give them premonitions. I will give them bits and pieces of information well before they meet something that's too tough for them. If they keep hearing other people saying, oh, yeah, we know about that person, or their manner of speech, everyone's like, why are you guys acting cagey about this person? You're really tough. Why are you acting like that? And you're like, well, there's reasons. This person doesn't play by all the same rules. They have a different mentality and they kind of seem a little unpredictable. Giving them information, giving them hints, giving them thoughts, giving them bits of foreshadowing to things that could happen. Like, hey, we walked into this village and there are no people here, but something happened. And there's clues that something horrific happened, but why aren't there any bodies? Or what's going on here? What happened? Or why does that person's gaze unsettle me? Just hints and subtle things to say this person is powerful. Without, the person being 17 feet tall with 14 bladed arms standing up above you and then a health bar pops up above their head. You can do it better. And I've managed to accidentally sometimes scare the PCs too. With just an NPC who's just talking to them calmly. They get an impression that this person's a little edgy, a little dangerous, but they're not reacting the same way that they expect them to. And they're like, I'm not going near that person. Not until we find out more. I feel very uneasy around them. And I'm like, think back. I'm like, what did I do that made them so uneasy? And I've put down a couple notes. I'm like, oh, I remember what it was. It was that one comment I made. I'm going to use that comment again later. Yeah, it failed. Come back stronger. Yep. Yeah, I've had a number of people in games tell me you can't run away from a fight. You won't get experience. And I'm just like, who said, for one thing, but also, what? Like, who hurt you? Who hurt you as a DM? Who did it? I mean, I have killed a lot of characters in 43 years. I am not going to lie. There have been some horrific ones. There have been some heroic ones. I try often, if somebody is going to be out completely, to give them a little bit of a heroic send-off. But I had one person literally tell me, because they were going into a crazy big fight. They said, if my character dies, make it feel like it was senseless. I said, do you mean like you're like giving a speech and all of a sudden you just go and fall over dead and everyone's like shocked and like, he's like, exactly. He's like, I want it to feel so brutal and horrible when this character dies that everyone's either going to A, flee, or B, rally, grab the flag, and go forward. And I said, okay, we can do that. And when it happened, the other players, two of them literally just looked at him. Like, one of them was like, oh, are you okay? And he just said, this is what happens. And one person, he just said, all right, I'm grabbing his gun. We're charging. And they went and they charged and did the thing. It was a really cool moment. It was a sad moment for that character because the character had been around for quite a few sessions, but they were in a galactic war, so people died. Subtlety is a lost art, yeah. Literary storytelling structure is it's important. Now, since you're working with a group of people that you're going to come to know and you're all going on this little trip together, you don't have to follow a perfect literary storytelling structure of, peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys. Those are going to happen naturally, which is why I use the syllabus that I make to give to them. And then we naturally flow into the high points, the low points, the storytelling. It's a little less prescribed and more organic when it happens. So when you hit those low moments of abject, just everyone's like bummed out because this horrible thing happened, that can feel natural. And when you hit those peaks of like high adventure, it should feel like they've actually kind of reached that point together through their actions rather than just like, hey, I'm going to hit the thematic button for the music and you guys are all going to be excited now. And they will make those excitement moments for themselves too. Sometimes it happens when somebody gets like a really high roll that they didn't expect. And you can just play off of that, especially if you're good at reading the energy around the table. I've had people who their favorite books are like trashy dude in a jungle with Nazi guerrillas on a crashed submarine on a mountaintop fighting other people. And they're like, this is the best book ever. I'm like, all right, you like that kind of stuff. Got it. Now I know where to go with stuff for you in the story. Where other people are literary criticism majors and they're like, well, okay, there's the denouement. Here's where we hit the apex. Here's where we hit this. I'm like, cool. I mean, I showed a couple people, I don't remember who actually all I showed, the notes one of my characters took in one of my campaigns. It ended up being, I think, 70 pages long for the campaign, and that was notes, not written word notes. It was 70 pages of just note text of every single thing that happened throughout the whole campaign because he wanted to remember everything. And he was having so much fun and they were enjoying the campaign so much they didn't want to forget it. So now we have a record of that whole campaign. And he would even note in there, high point. This is a big low point. Like, all right. So while it's important to know, it is not the only thing to know because you have to manage so many other bits and pieces. If you understand it and you can actually move the story along and understand when you need a peak or when you need a valley, that is a really good part of it. I would say that being able to think on your feet is even more important. So getting all the information prepped and then working it within that guideline and crafting something with the players, it's a tough art. That's definitely why I'm writing this, because I do a lot of things automatically that I think may not always occur to everyone. So I want to put them down and see, some people disagree, some people will agree, some people will love it, some people will think it's stupid. Like I've had people tell me that the idea of a syllabus for a game is the one person said it was the most asinine, elitist thing that she could ever think of. I was like, okay, great. And I've had other people say that it is their favorite thing about being in a game with me. So Yeah, all kinds of people out there. Ah, humans. You gotta love them, right? Oops, sorry, you're gonna hear a little rustling here because I'm having a snack. And yes, I am about to eat something that you guys are going to just be like, "What?" Because this is really good for your body, your skin, your health, and your gut. Onion. Yes, I eat raw onion all the time. It's a really good snack. I was having it with crackers and cheese earlier, but now I'm just having some more onion. And yes, I'm going to have a sip of Coke after that. Yep, raw onion. See, half an onion. I'm working my way through the other half with just little pieces of onion. Killing you last night with the Triscuits? Ah, yes. Here, I can make it even worse for you, Chrysan. I'm going to make it worse. This won't kill you. This will probably make you run away in fear. All right, which way does this open? There we go. Hot honey on the onion. Yep. Oh, man. I just love tasting things. I used I used rosemary on my eggs this morning, and I had a couple little pieces of rosemary. I just like nibbling on stuff, and I'll nibble on a piece of rosemary while I'm cooking. I'll just chew it up. So good. I don't know. I love the taste of things. I mean, if you eat a piece of onion, you really get to taste the onion. You feel the texture. Roll it around your tongue, taste it in all the different parts of your tongue. Good. What do you mean wrong with me? It was simply a piece of hot honey on onion. You people. You people out there. How do you think I have such a beard? It's all the onion. Let's see. Okay, so I've been revamping some parts of the execution section of the book here because I've got, or preparation section, because I was expanding on some of these bits. So first you need the campaign idea. Mine usually start out as notes on a single page of paper plus a few scribbles and sketches. Once I have that, I'm ready to start my prep. All right, here's the list of the things I do to come up, or as a DM, to get ready for the campaign. Love onion, hate hot. Oh, I'm so sorry for you. This hot honey is it's pretty good actually. Normally I'll just mix some sriracha or something, or cayenne pepper with my honey and make my own. But this is chili peppers blended with it and vinegar, which gives it a nice little tang. Don't mind raw onion salads. Yeah, I like raw onion just all the time. I use raw onion to clean my grill off too. I don't eat that onion afterwards. I just grab it and go across the hot grill. My sister-in-law cannot eat raw onions because they just totally mess with her digestion. And it makes her so sick. I feel so bad for her because I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'd do without raw onion. That and garlic. And this is just a nice white onion. Streams always devolve into food. I've always got food with me when I'm eating. This one is sort of Croissant's fault though, because she told me about these things that she had, and I ordered them yesterday. And with them, I ordered goat cheese, figs, olives, some regular cheese, some dry salami, and I grabbed an onion out of the fridge. And I've just been snacking on these things since yesterday. Anyway, so when I do prep work for a campaign, it's a thing that it's a point of contention between me and other DMs, I think, when we talk about it. Because I have some DMs that they get a module, they read it, and before the session, they go through the section they think the players are going to hit. And they read it, and they're like, oh, you guys are going that way. I'm not prepped for that. And we'll just, usually we can say, oh, okay, well, we can just stick over here. That's fine. Because not everybody has time to do everything all the time. Others make their own homebrew stuff, and they have just, a binder that literally has everything that they've worked on for like 3 years for it. And they're like, I know everything that's going to happen here. Let me go to the binder and find out what this person's name is again. Okay, here's what it means. Here's what it is. I don't like all that downtime. While I do have downtime when I'm running stuff because I have to take notes and do things, I occasionally have to shift things around. I let them talk. I prep by coming up with a handful of the critical NPCs that I have an idea for the story. Here's where they'll start. They're going to end up making some kind of a decision here, and there'll be a resolution at the end. A lot of stuff's going to happen between them. Here are the main NPCs they need to have. The person who's leading them to the quest or dropping the quest on them or whatever it is. A couple people they meet that are going to be sort of exposition, but also building their characters and building the world for them until they get to the choice. Whatever that choice is, whatever that thing is that they have to do, high point, low point, whatever that part is, there's an NPC or two there that usually have something to do with it. After that point, a couple more, and then the final NPC, which could be somebody they've already met, or the final NPCs, whatever, however it works out. I come up with those people, note them down, like main NPC, secondary NPC, blah, 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 blah. I'll go generic at first. I will put down a list of all the locations where all the main story points happen. Like, first one is in the boat, or at the tattoo parlor where they all met, or whatever it is. Then there's going to be where the critical point happens in the middle. And there's going to be the end, and then everything interstitial between. I'll come up with all those interstitial ideas. I'll try and find some art. I'll go find a picture that references it. I'll have somebody draw something for me. I'll use AI, whatever it is. And then I write up a syllabus. And I keep the syllabus pointed, artistic, poetic, and vague. Specific but vague, which is tricky. Those are completely your fault. Yep, good job. I did also buy a box of roasted garlic Triscuits because I'm almost out of the I'm basically out of the jalapeno ones. There's only fragments left. So when I create those NPCs, either ahead of time, like these ones, or on the fly, because I create a lot of NPCs on the fly, I write down 3 things about them. That's it. That's all I do. I give them a name, an occupation, and something memorable about them. So the name is really important. I have lists of names. I have lists and lists and lists of names, but sometimes I just go with whatever name pops into my head. Sometimes I go with the list and find a meaning and I'm good with it. Other times I just come up with a name, and sometimes it's a happy accident that the name means something interesting later. Sometimes it means nothing. But some of my players have a habit of looking at every character and being like, what's that name mean? Because they know that I enjoy that, but they also know that not every name matters. Sorry, I had to snip my fingernail off there. So it's good to have those preconceived notions where everybody's like, wait, what does that person's name mean? That means something about them. It's a secret. All right, fantastic. Get out of here. I mean, see you later. Thanks for watching me eat onions and talk about food. They scared him off with food, didn't we? I did put in here, everything else is just extra flavor and can be added as you need it. You may be asking, but Frost, what about their stats, their weaponry, their lineage, their motivations? I'm here to tell you that you can infer all that from the above. Laying out that all ahead of time isn't always time well spent. All right, so I got that rewritten. All right, their occupation, I did expand on this section. Listed occupation should let you know what they may be carrying, what they're skilled at using, and so on. Just in case your PCs decide to liberate an NPC of their goods or remind them of their mortality, you will be able to list off what they find. If a fight ensues, you can assume what weapons they may have on hand and any skills or spells they may possess to defend themselves. And I have a lot of people are all over the place on this. Sometimes they just say, I just use generic fighter for all these people, or I use generic whatever. I do this or whatever. Fine, it's however you want to do it. Doesn't really matter. Some game players and some people who really like to metagame disagree that anybody should be a fighter in a town. They're like, no, these people are all 0 level NPCs. Only people who should be fighters are the guards. Did I set myself up for a raid? Erudi's trying to raid me. In what? In here? Or YouTube? I'm not on Kick if he's on Kick. And I have no idea how you raid people. I don't even know how you can raid people in YouTube. I have no idea. I'm not monetized. Can I get raided? Can I have people hop in? I have no idea. I have no idea. In YouTube. Huh. It's live direct, right? Permissions? I wonder if it's under community and permissions. I'd have to go to my page here. It's probably going to be too late, but that's fine. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Connected apps, account, notifications. Advanced settings? No. Account? Privacy? No. Ads, live chat. Allow users to mention me? I don't know. I see it all set on here as stuff that should just work. I know so little about how this stuff works. It's not surprising, though. Contents, analytics, community. Let's see what we got here. Mentions, no. A failed raid. Hello, Zach. Yeah, I have no idea how to do this raid thing. I have no clue how that even works. It's possible because I'm not monetized that I can't. I don't know. Maybe channel customization. I don't know. Audience. Writing wizard talking about. Oh, there we go. Yeah, talking about DMing. Exactly. This is what I do. Woo! Ah, nice. Well, thank you very much for doing that, Chrysant. So yeah, I'm talking about DMing and how interesting it is sometimes, and how I set up games, and while I'm working on the book to tell people how to be better storytellers, hopefully. So hello, and thank you all for coming on in. And I just a little earlier I put a new note in here because this is something I tell a lot of DMs who don't really think about it until it's too late. Is when I give an NPC an occupation, it usually kind of prescribes what they can do and what they carry. Like a baker is not going to normally be walking around with a sword. He may have a truncheon on his belt. Who knows? Because maybe it's a dangerous part of town. Who knows? He may not have anything with him. Uh, but he's also not likely to have a lot of treasure. Town guardsman probably going to have a weapon, maybe a little bit of money, probably tabard, and whatever stuff they normally have on them. Is I've told so many DMs this: never, ever, ever, ever give an NPC or an enemy a thing you don't want your player characters to have. They will get it somehow, and woe to you when they get it. If you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to challenge him, and this guy's going to have a Vorpal sword of fireball throwing. It's going to be great. And then they'll find a way to kill him really quickly, and then suddenly your players have a Vorpal sword of fireball throwing. Oh dear. Oh dear. Thank you very much, Zach. Because I've had more than, I mean, I made this mistake when I was a new DM. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's got a cool spell. These guys don't know that spell. He's got it in the spell book. They killed the guy. They went through his spell book, and I'm like, oh, crud. Now they have access to the spell. Damn it. And I'm like, I can try and make it so it's hard for them to read. And they're like, why would it be so hard to read? It's read magic. We can pull this out. We're really smart. My guy's got maximum intelligence. And they argued pretty hard for it. And I'm like, I realized I was being an impediment to them having fun. I'm like, okay, I'm giving them the thing. I've got to remember in the future that if I make a thing that is a physical object they can get a hold of that does not perish with the character, die with the character, melt into goo, which is kind of a crappy way to do stuff, they're going to have it. They're going to own it. If they've got that necklace that allows them to change their face into anybody's face, guess what? You've got a player character now who can change their face into anybody's face. So, some of those things are way better as intrinsic abilities. And while some people get a little frustrated by that, it's the nature of the game. You can't give the players everything. If their power is tied up in something and the players take it, they've taken the guy's power. Now you can't ask curses and do all kinds of fun stuff like that. As long as you're not springing it on the players and pissing them off, but presenting it in a good storytelling way, you're going to have way happier players. Way happier players. Yeah, no Allen Ice Fork. Exactly. So true. Oh my gosh. Especially if you make a little bit of a mistake in the wording. Now, it's part of the player's job to not be too antagonistic to the DM if the DM makes a mistake. DMs will make mistakes. Players will make mistakes. A DM may make a mistake in typing something. Give the players something and they're like, oh my gosh, I can use this anytime in any combat or as many times as I want. And the DM's like, oh, wait, no. That's supposed to be once per encounter. The player's like, you said it was, you did this. And get very antagonistic. That's something you have to head off. I haven't written a lot on that, but that's something you have to head off a completely different way with your players. I know rules, and I like to bring up rules if they are going to kind of even the playing field, but I don't like breaking up rules or bringing up rules just to show people that I know the rules, because that is not fun. I am totally fine with us just skating by something if it doesn't become a big deal. Like, if somebody's using an ability that is totally wrong, like, oh, you shouldn't be able to do any of that, you're technically making it so nobody else is going to have fun because you're going to do the thing all the time, I'll try and bring it up. If everyone just says, just let them have the fun, I'll drop it. I'll just drop it. Be like, okay, we're gonna go forward with it. That's fine. I just had some kitty cats run over my head. Weird. I did buy some sound panels, by the way. I'm gonna try a couple little sound panels. I'm gonna put them up in the rafters above me here because there's really no soundproofing. It's literally subfloor and joists above my head. I'm gonna try a couple of these and see what they do, if anything. I haven't installed any of them yet because I have to get my ladder out because the ceiling is really high in my basement. But we're gonna give it a shot. Anyway, maybe it's because I'm a new player, but normally what the DM says goes. That is often that is a new player way of doing stuff because they don't know yet, and when they get more comfortable, they might. It depends on the play style of the person too. Once they get a little more comfortable with things, they will start saying, "Well, wait, last time." If it's friendly joking, it's kind of fun. When it gets too antagonistic, it turns into kind of a why don't you let the DM do what the DM's doing and realize they're not trying to kill you? Unless the DM is trying to kill your characters. Totally different kind of game, though. Totally different kind of game. Oh, there may still be Kitty Stampede. I mean, they're so damn loud. They're so loud. Toffee made so much noise today when I was up there cooking because she decided she was going to jump up on the little plastic kitty cat houses that I have near the kitchen counter on the backside by the breakfast bar, and she did not time her jump properly and did not plan it properly because I think she got distracted by something. She jumped, caught herself, and was like, scramble, 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 knocked him over, and both of them went kaboom on the floor. And they're just these little prefab plastic cat houses, so they can't really hurt the cats. But she then did the scramble, 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 scramble. I can't get my feet under me, run around the room, which made a couple of the other cats concerned for their lives. So it was a little stampede. A lot of fun. They are good at stampeding. All right. So into the memorable part. What I was mentioning earlier is that when I make NPCs for a campaign, I only note 3 things on their note sheet: their name, their occupation, and something memorable about them. The memorable thing is tricky. It's tricky because it has to be something the players can kind of discern from like a casual interaction. Like, this person smells like onions. Always. Every time we come by him, he smells like onions. Maybe he likes onions. You don't know. Maybe the only place he can sleep is in a boarding house that happens to be the larder, or right above the larder of the kitchen. And all the hanging onions from below make the whole place smell like onions. Maybe he smells like smoked meat. Maybe the only place he can sleep is out near the smokehouse. You don't know. Or maybe he does literally always eat onions. But if you're like, hey, it's an onion smelling guy, everybody's going to know who you're talking about. If it's the guard who doesn't fit in his armor, like his helmet's too small for his head, or his helmet is too big for his head, whatever. Make something memorable about a character that they can get from casual interaction that they should remember. They may not remember the name. Sometimes people remember those things way more than the name. And one thing you don't see a lot in modules are descriptions of something memorable to make you remember the character. Mnemonic devices, anything like that. They will just say, here is Dr. Tamarov, blah, blah, blah. And it's 14 pages of distinguishing, like, speech patterns or something, and history of where his family grew up and all these things. Okay. Great. Nobody's going to remember who this dude was unless you say, oh, this is the guy that had the long oiled mustache with the little turns up on it, which is a little, like, unusual for these people around here because he's so fastidious. Oh, yeah, the fastidious doctor. We remember who he is. Oh, yeah, he was that noble who came from blah, blah, blah. Rather than, I don't know, there was a doctor. It's a trick. But if you can get those things in people's heads, you'll do it. You'll get them hooked on it, and they'll know about it. Like there's it's the freckled cabbage seller. What was her name? And somebody will be like, Lydia. It was Lydia. Well, you came up with that really fast. What? Not like I like her. You do. Cool. Never thought about how to write an NPC. Yeah, that's why I'm putting this stuff out in this book, because there are a lot of little tricks and things you can do to make them memorable, but then you can expand upon it. They'll become more than just the freckled cabbage seller. They'll become more than the guy with the big helmet. The people may start talking to him. And the next thing is, I have a little information here, and I'm not going to read all of it, but you can have them doing things that aren't even physical. It's like he could just look like a normal dude. It's like he just looks like every other guard, but this guy is always staring out over the wall, kind of cradling his spear in his arm, looking out over the wall, never really paying attention to all the people. He's just staring off in the distance. You're like, I wonder why he's doing that. Huh. And then people will fill in details in their own mind. They'll come up with a story, and then maybe they'll want to talk to him. Maybe they'll just be like, oh, it's a distracted guard. Oh, it's a dreamy guard who just is always staring out. Whatever. Any of these memorable things that you come up with can also lead into one of the best and worst things in these kind of games: reading minds. It's so much fun when players be like, oh, what's this person's name? And I'm just like, David. They're like, oh, okay. Yeah, his name's David. And they're like, okay, I'm going to use mind reading on this guard. What's he thinking about? He's thinking about a boat coming in. And they're like, oh, there's supposed to be a boat coming in? I don't know. Is there? And it's like, yep, you just get the impression pretty much the overriding thought in his head is there's a boat. He's waiting for a boat. And you don't get an impression of what kind of boat. It's just he's waiting for a boat for some reason. Like, oh, interesting. Or the baker. They're like, what's Melinda thinking? You know, everything she's thinking about is bread making. You keep getting this impression over and over about the well in the back alley over there. Over and over, you just keep getting little pictures of that well in her head. You're like, what the hell is she thinking about the well for? And it could turn out that she wished the well were closer, so she didn't have to haul water all the time. Or she hates getting water from the well. Could be she made a wish in the well. Could be she threw her treasure down the well to hide it from people who she thought were going to steal it. Could be that she threw her brother down the well to get the inheritance. But it's really up to the players after you put those little kernels in their head to start investigating. And it may not have anything to do with the main adventure, but you can do that stuff, and it can derail things. That's kind of half the fun, though. Players can fill in the blanks, make it profound or not. Yeah, they can completely ignore this stuff. It's like, why is that one guard always sweating? What is he doing? Or we've never seen this guy ever out in the daytime. Is he a vampire? No, it just turns out he absolutely hates bright sunlight because it hurts his eyes. Or maybe the people he talks to are exclusively people who work in the shadows and at night, and he has to stay asleep during the day. You can come up with lots of crazy ideas. It could be an ailment. You don't know. And putting those little bits and pieces into people's characters, it can be a lot to take note of, though. That's why when I have my syllabus sitting here, I will write down the count. You know, they were talking about the count. They're like, he never goes outside. They're like, he's a count. He never goes outside. Nobody's seen him. He's got to be a vampire. And they'll find out that he's, you know, completely devastated because his favorite dog died. And he just can't face going out and doing anything without him. He's just sad. He's just a sad old guy who just is like giving up on everything because he doesn't have his dog anymore. And they'd be like, and I did this with people. They finally found out. They made a whole break-in because they were like, we're going to have to check it out because I bet this is the reason why people are disappearing. They broke in, snuck in, found him sitting in front of a fire, reading a book, and they saw an easel and all these paintings everywhere. And they're like, oh my gosh, he's obsessed with someone. All the paintings were partially finished of a dog and a hunting dog and him with the hunting dog and this and a picture of him and his now deceased wife and this dog as a puppy. And it was the whole kind of John Wick idea. It's like all he had left was that dog, and the dog finally died of old age. It's just this sad old guy who never wanted to go outside anymore. They felt so horrible for him. They bought him a puppy. And I was like, okay, that's not what I expected them to do. But it was really fun. It was really nice. It was fun. They put the puppy, and they didn't even do anything. They just put the puppy in a basket. And then, like, I think I had it like 3-4 weeks later. The guy was out there with the dog walking through the market. And people were like, oh, he's outside in the sun. I was like, ha. Meanwhile, there was an actual vampire in town who was living in the sewers. But it turned into such a fun red herring. I loved it. It was sad, but if you can put these super sad little things in the game and make people feel an emotion, it's like, oh. And I did have some people at one point in a campaign where I put the that girl who had the well on her mind. It literally was that she had thrown her brother down there after she killed him because she wanted the inheritance. And he was kind of a drunkard. And so they found all this out. She got, hauled off and everything. It was really fun and weird because then when they started to try and prove it to people were like, how do you know she did something? And they're like, did we tell him we were reading people's minds randomly? Oh no, how do we do this? So they had to come up with a complete story of how they ended up checking the well. And they had to do some fancy footwork to get that figured out. It was fun. I have a number of NPCs too and the thing is, you should never be afraid to do all that stuff for an NPC. Once they show an interest and you come up with a memorable thing and you write more notes or write a bunch of notes, you're like, oh, it's gonna be cool, and they come back to the NPC and they never do. Because sometimes people just don't care. They're like, oh yeah, that guy was interesting. We don't care anymore. But hold on to them. Use them later. Use them in another game. I've reused NPC ideas that never got touched on again. I've also headed off some of that because once you get people in the mindset of like, everybody has secrets, we're going to be able to plumb the secrets of everybody in the whole city. They're like, what's that guy thinking? And they're thinking, he's just counting seconds and minutes. He's just sitting there counting the time, and it's super boring. They're like, what the hell is going on with him? And then once they hear the bell clang, 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 and they're like, it's like 3 p.m. That's the end of his guard shift. And all he does on his guard shift for most of the time is just think about how long it is until the end of his guard shift. Because he's just a mundane person who hates his job. And he wants to be done. Like, oh. Well, that's not fun. They'll just walk off to someone else. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, and to that point, most NPCs should be thinking, like their boss, they're annoyed with their wife, their brother is a curmudgeon, they hate things, who knows. I did write at the end of this though, don't worry though, you don't have to know what all of your NPCs are thinking. Well, you do, but 90% of your NPCs should be thinking about their daily lives, their next task, the boss they don't like, how much their back hurts. We're pretty simple creatures when we're busy. Not all of us are dreaming up plans for world domination while we're working. Except maybe Maisie the baker. She's got a weird glint in her eye lately. ... Yep, we can all relate to that. Yeah, I just, the tick, tick, tick of the clock. I hate my boss. Oh, I don't know what's going on here. That sort of stuff. All right, where was I at here? Oh, going on to locations. Everything in the campaign has to happen somewhere, and you get to choose those locations most of the time. I'll explain this in a bit. To what end, or to that end, you need to come up with a list of the main and secondary locations for all the events of the adventure campaign to take place in. If you're making a homebrew campaign, this will be more work than if you bought a module. Don't despair, though, you can do it. And I've had some people explain to me the anatomy of modules these days because I haven't bought a module in a long time. And I've looked through some that people have, and I'm frankly a little baffled by their layouts. I think that they believe that they're doing it in a logical manner, but watching people try to find out what the next entry is or the next thing, where a bit of information is in a module that they didn't write, is torturous, kind of torturous. I've suggested to a couple people that they do exactly what I'm saying here, is list out all the main locations just on a sheet of paper for themselves and just make themselves a skeleton outline of like, here's where the players are introduced. Here's the place they should go to second. Here's an optional place for third or fourth. And here's the fifth spot where they go to. Here's what's going on. Here are the NPCs here. And just have that handy. Because they don't appear to put things like that in modules. They don't give you a handout, a little flow chart, a little idea. It's all explained in long lines of text. And so many DMs, maybe they don't read it all. They just don't know. They just don't know where it's at. I like the mundane people. That's kind of why I'm considering my Legend Seeker character being a shop owner who keeps getting dragged onto grand adventures and just wants to return to the shop. That could be fun. That could be a lot of fun. I like it. Like, do we have to? Yes, we have to. Dang it. Let's see here. We're going to grab this playlist now. And I guess I should check and see. Let's see. I've been going for about an hour. All right. Do. Oh, yeah. I'd like to make a list of the main areas that I know the players will need to visit to hit the major plot points, and then add to that list any interstitial, possibly optional locations they may visit. At the very end of the list, I add a bunch more generic and possibly useful locations that I may need just in case the players go off on a tangent. I do say things like just in case players are going to go off on a tangent. They're not. There's no maybe. It'll happen. So I say a bunch of and possible useful locations that I may need just in case the players go off on a tangent. And I do mean a bunch. One campaign I ran had 7 major locations, places they would come back to a few times, 18 interstitial locations, and 49 generic or useful locations. I had a lot of maps because this was an online one. There was a bit of layout there. As an example, I may list a temple of whoever, a main city map, a dungeon, another dungeon, a main villain's lair, a hub, like a tavern or a player base, healer's hut. Then I can add some interstitial locations like a haunted fort, a graveyard, a small village, a wizard's tower. And then I have Calvino interrupt with, why do wizards love towers so much? Ralph. I responded, small footprint, a lot of spacious floors above. Plus, you get a great view. Stop distracting me. Then anyway, I finally add some locations they may never go to, but, well, they might, depending on the campaign setting. A farm, an orchard, an old mine, ruins. If it's a modern campaign, you can't go wrong with an office building, a park, a cemetery, a bar, a strip club, a convenience store, a library, a city hall, a warehouse, docks. Lots of general places that players love to look for clues or enemies or just like to look at. Often I try to note a few things about the location that may help players find a way to engage with it, just like I do with the NPCs. I give it the name, like it's downtown library. The occupants, if there are any guards, hidden monsters, traps, like a secret reading room, anything weird. Features like if it's run down, is it isolated, is it abandoned, dimly lit, new, well guarded, locked? Like, is this library brand new? Was there a flood and now it's like this brand new library and it's fancy and modern? Or is it an old library that's been here for a long time and it's dusty and big wooden desks? It really matters because then you can get into the specifics of like dark, dreary little corridors of like they have book stacks. Do they have little hidden storage rooms? Yeah, it's all over the place. Ralph, exactly. I should go see if Calvino wants to come back in. He was not happy with me eating onion. He was like, and I was like, "Hi, Calvino," and he was just like, so to that end, let me put you guys on my little pause screen here, and I'm gonna go check on Das Vino. So yeah. Oh, by the way, here's my little. I made a little new pause screen with curmudgeon-y me. I'll be right back. And I was wrong. I did not put the curmudgeon me out there because I couldn't get the text to look right over it. So I just went with the simple "be right back" one. I was playing around in Canva with some different frames and shapes and stuff. So whatever. No grumpy wizard at the moment. Um, and Calvino was sunning himself on the table, even though it's kind of cloudy. And I went and scratched his tummy and rubbed his head and everything. And Calvino or his brother Benji came over and said hi. But they were having fun, just sunning. So nothing. No cats. They'll probably show up now though. But what is this? It's a weird notification. What does that mean? Huh, okay. Whatever. Right. Where am I at here? It's funny because Calvino and Charlie still they don't really see eye to eye. They're not the best buds. They'll eat next to each other, they'll hang out, but then they'll just be like, eh. Out on the chair yesterday, I look out and I see Calvino, flopped in a curve, and Charlie just snuggles right into him, just sleeping. I'm like, you guys. Ah, yes. Anyway, where was I at here? Oh, yeah. It was locations. So the list of locations should help you figure out what kind of art to look for in the next phase when you're preparing for your masterfully run campaign. Or it can help you find out what art to create or commission, depending on what you can do. Thematic elements can tie locations together and make them stand out. Amongst the rundown houses of the village is an older tower that's not falling into ruin. It's the only stone building for miles around, which makes it automatically unusual, interesting, worth inspecting. People will do that. Players do love things that stand out a bit. If you just say, every house in town looks the same, they're not important to the plot. Your players will get two things from that. They'll get a little defeated because the world is literally just a rail, and you've just told them, don't look at anything. Don't, no, it's just a trash can. Don't go near it. But they will also kind of feel that they're not supposed to be exploring and investigating, and that you're enforcing the I will feed you what you need to be fed. I don't like doing that. I love throwing things around. If my players are like, you know that McDonald's our characters went to? There's something really weird about their place, wasn't there? Like, yeah, I kind of got that feeling, doesn't it? It feels weird. We kind of keep getting drawn back there for some reason. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, they go back to the McDonald's. They're like, we're just gonna eat. We're just gonna sit, see if anything weird's happening. I'm like, okay, nothing strange is happening. That old dude that comes in occasionally, that you see on the street, comes in with his pink flip flops on, his ratty pants, and his orange puffy vest. And that turned into a whole part of a storyline, like a major part of a storyline. They're like, wait, he's in here? What's he doing? Like, he's digging in his pockets for change and putting change on the counter, and he's buying food. He buys food and he walks out. And they see him walk out and just take the food and toss it in the garbage and just keep walking. They're like, wait, what? He didn't eat it. What the hell? We got to follow this guy. And those kind of things will kind of become their own little life in the story. And that, not going to ruin it, but that character, yeah, they had some fun with him later. Let's just say that. I prefer that, honestly, let people figure out what's going on without spelling it out for them. Yeah. Yep. I've had DMs that are literally have started sessions by saying, if I do not tell you someone's name, do not ask me what their name is. I'm not going to give you the name for every John, Dick, Tom, Harry, Melissa, whatever in this town. You're getting nothing unless I give it to you. If you guys go off on a bizarre tangent, you will get no experience. And if you guys do things like this and you kill these people, I will penalize you guys experience point wise. And the people are like, ooh, yes, we have to be very careful playing with this DM. And I'm just sitting there thinking, is it rude of me to leave now? Should I hold? I'll stay a couple sessions and then go through a few sessions like, wow, this kind of hurts to play. I love playing at other people's tables, but sometimes I can't make it all the way through campaigns. I'm just like, I gotta back out of this one. Oh no, something came up. My gerbil got hit by an airplane. It was horrible. He's gonna make a full recovery though. I mean, I've had other DMs that were basically along the lines of, if you don't take notes and you show up to the next session without notes in your notebook that's at least 2 pages, you're not allowed to play this session. I'm like, oh, okay. People, you gotta love them. I mean, there are some DMs that are just literally, I don't know, power mad. Let's go with power mad. Hmm. Sorry, I was just watching a video of somebody doing something pretty clever. Yeah, yeah. There's some varied play styles out there, and honestly, like I said, I love playing at people's tables to learn how they do things. Uh, I've had a lot of fun at some people's tables. I've had absolutely no fun at other people's tables. It's all over the place, man. Huh. I'm just reading a note somebody just sent me. Why is that not showing up? Oh, there it goes. Boop. Ha. Um, Largely unsure of just how to take notes. I'm not sure what's important and what isn't. Normally, what I do if I'm taking notes is if somebody interests me in a campaign, like, hey, that NPC is kind of interesting, I'm gonna make a note of it. If it doesn't seem interesting, I won't make a note. If it turns out that that person was incredibly important, I sometimes will ask the DM later. So that character seems like they're super important. It feels like the information about them should have been presented a little more, I don't know, in a different way, because it felt like it was just, oh yeah, that's just this dude. Where everybody else is like, but now that you've introduced them, everybody's acting deferential and this and that about them. Because how do you, what is that term? You know, when people talk about people with ADD or OCD or ADHD, it's like if something's out of sight, it's out of mind and they don't remember it exists. That seems prevalent with a lot of people running games. They don't foreshadow, they don't hint, like, hey, everyone in the town is a little bit afraid because the count might come down into town. And when he does, he brings his guards. And when this happens, everybody gets a little nervous. People are deferential, people are this or that. Whereas you could play through the first 3/4 of an adventure in the town and be like, oh yeah, hey everybody, oh yeah, hi, how you doing? And having an okay small town experience, and then the count shows up and everyone's like, don't talk about the count. We don't talk about the count. Nobody talks about it. Wait, you mean the guy that is up there? Is like, yeah, it's almost like they forgot he existed until he showed up. Like, there should have been some whispers or worries in people's, mannerisms. Like when somebody mentioned, like, oh, why are things costing, more in this town than others? They nervous glance up at the castle. Well, it's remote. They're like, why does everybody always look at the castle when they say things like that? Oh, this count is kind of a jerk. But there's no preamble, there's no living world kind of hinting at that stuff. It's way better if you can thread that stuff in little bits here and there. Again, that's the subtlety. And not everybody likes subtlety. Not everybody can handle subtlety. And I will say something controversial here that would get me hate from some people. Anime loving people don't like subtlety much. So if your nose isn't bleeding when you see that girl, then you don't really like her. Like, oh, okay, whatever. And everything with the people screaming, making a big deal out of the thing. Like, no, just do something a little subtle once in a while. I'm just that guy. I don't know what they're doing right now. They've stopped. Anyway, honestly, you give DM so much credit. There's a lot to keep track. There is a lot to keep track of, and it's better if people can bring a little bit of it up to you here and there, to kind of hint at it, because it helps them. Because then they've taken a little bit of the storytelling out of their own pocket, their own, I guess, their own purvey, and given a little bit of it to the whole group. because then everyone is kind of remembering, oh, that's right, the Count. We should probably go investigate that guy. These people seem terrified of him. And then somebody might say, well, it's not really our place to do that. We're not the local law. We don't care. We have things to do. And somebody's like, well, it'd be really nice to help these people. They might give us a reward. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Like, yeah, we might get in trouble with the Duke, though. Yeah, that's also a good point. So they can have discussions and go back and forth. But anyway. So yeah, I mentioned earlier that you get to pick most of the locations of the campaign, but not always. And that's very true. Players have agency as well. May want to go visit a place that came up as an aside in a story. Like you mentioned, there's this little fishing dock down there that you didn't really think about anybody ever going to. They're like, we think we should investigate that because that's a place they could hide a boat, right? They could be hiding something down there. And they might want to go visit that, or something that they want to add as a story point for their background. Like they grew up near this village and their place had orchards. You're like, oh yeah, I gotta put an orchard and farm buildings and this and that, and the farmer that ran it. Okay, yeah, we can add that. You just have to be able to work on your feet with some of that and just go with it. If you created a location ahead of time that's just a generic farm or a generic like orchard or something, you're good. You can just say, oh, I've got one. Perfect. If not, you may have to do something generic because there's no way you're going to come up with everything. Now, that's totally up to you how you do it, but when you have a group of people who are playing the game and they want a map for every location, and they want a map for every location that they can possibly go, you're going to run into a little more trouble. Theater of the Mind is really good. Some people cannot handle it, though. I will just be blunt. They cannot handle not having a map because they cannot focus without having that visual. Now, it might be worth stopping really quickly, grabbing a map from somewhere in your collection or AI generating one, or looking online really quickly and just plopping it on screen or pulling it up on a computer so everybody can look at it if you're together. That's why battle mats were great in the day, because you just draw something. So occasionally what I've even done is I've just gone into a whiteboard and shared my screen and just did a paint thing and just drew it and said, here's what you're looking at. Here's the structure of things if you absolutely need a 3D representation of it. You just have to know your players and what they want. Sometimes it's important. And then people will start arguing about, it's 30 feet up, 60 feet away. If A squared, B squared, C squared equals this distance, so my spell should be able to reach them if I'm standing behind this barrel here. Like, okay, let's do some math. Or you just say, okay, and go with it. Because half the time, it's not really worth getting into a rules argument about all that stuff, because at the end of the day, you're supposed to be having fun and doing things. If it's clearly not going to work, like, I made a roll that should allow me to shoot through that tower because I've got armor penetration on. Like, well, that's not how it works with structures. How it works with armor. And then getting into a big argument. It's tough. You just need to know your players and know what kind of things they're going to come up with. Iruda has done that in his private games, just done a quick sketch of where things are. Exactly. It's way easier than trying to sit there and come up with a whole full map and do all that stuff. You're just like, here we go. Here's what you got. There's the enemies. Go. Anyway, let's see. Art. That was the next point of this. So you have this wonderful list of locations your story needs. So many spots the players will get to experience the story at. So many things you now need to find. I won't go into all the options that are out there. You've likely seen the internet. It's full of stuff. Go find some. If you want originals or need them because you're doing this live or in front of an audience or on a streaming service, then you can commission or create a way. That will slow down your prep work. You can still do yours. You won't be able to complete it until you have all those assets in place. You can try and create them yourself. You can pull stuff from the internet. Just don't be a cave troll and take credit for work that you didn't make. And then I put a little aside from Calvino and the wizard here of Calvino saying, Ralph, still mad about Oleg, huh? And me saying, he stole that spell idea from me while I was napping and you know it. Fought something that exploded when it died and asked him if my Eldritch Blast that killed it would make it explode before being knocked back or after. He let it explode so it didn't hurt the people near it. Yep, exactly. And the cinematic stuff like that is fun. I like it. Like last night we had Rashi wanted to hop up on the table, and it was just an extra move, and boop, she's up on the table. The little baby jar head things couldn't get her because she's on the table, so they went after us. And that's cinematic. It's kind of fun. Let's see. Art for characters is covered later, but you can use those frightening AI programs to create many wonderful art pieces for you. Sure, they may have extra hands or floating fingers or extra cattails in places, but they work in a pinch. You can do the same for gridded maps. Just make sure to specify the scale you need to image at and start pushing buttons. I like to map out the world myself if it's a fantasy campaign, find art for it, all those things. I'm wondering if did I have this piece of art in here somewhere still? Oh yeah, I do. Oh yeah, forgot about that one. I like to just make handmade maps and give them to the players. Just draw stuff out. Don't always have time for it, but I like doing that. Need to revisit your videos. You're having fun making maps. I'm glad you're having fun making maps. What are you making a map of now, Sassy Witch? What is it? Why is that showing up there? If I'm running the campaign in an online service, I need to make sure to organize, scale, and set up lighting on each map. This can be time consuming, and I know a lot of people hate this part. If you do, then I suggest you delegate, hire, or beg others to help you. Once you have the library full and organized, you're almost done with prep. Only the syllabus remains. And this is for me the big one. It ties everything together and tantalizes the players. No clue what I'm talking about? Then read on. Dun, dun, dun. So calling this a syllabus might imply to the students out there that I'm presenting an outline for a course. Not quite. It's more of an abstract, a brief, a flavor sampler, and a rough outline of the adventure I give the players at session 0. Oh, just in the house you suggested. Ah, nice. Yeah, the house was big, and I love the fact that the 2 tables were in the center kind of like galley area going through the house. You could have like huge numbers of people eating at the same time. All right, the syllabus is a handout that not only gives the players a sense of security that the story has been planned, but also lets them explore. Get rid of that word. Also lets them explore their own interpretations of what's to come, lets them think up scenarios or even anticipate where the story will go according to the info they have. Want to do the hexagram they showed in the video, but it's not available yet. Oh, they don't have pieces for the hexagrams, or they don't have the hexagrams. I don't know. I love doing I mean, depends on what kind of stuff you like making for maps. Houses are fun, towers are fun, old like decrepit like monasteries and ruins and things like that are fun. Dungeons are fun. Love the idea of no dishes all over the house. Okay, so you can't do them. Well, hopefully they'll get that added soon. Like I was saying, I like doing like old ruined places. So many different options you have. On 2.0. Oh, okay. Let's see. So saying the syllabus is a handout not only gives the players a sense of security that the story has been planned, but it also lets them explore their own interpretation of what's to come. Okay, that makes sense. All right. One of the best reasons to make a syllabus is that it increases player agency. They often message me outside the game with questions, statements, and fun guesses about what's coming. I'll cover more of this in execution, but I often adjust the story to incorporate their ideas, especially when they are excellent. I mean, I have incorporated some less than excellent ideas into the story because the players really like them or really got sold on them for some reason. There's some things that I've not included because they were just too weird. I've changed the motivations of NPCs based on what players think they're really doing, swapped villains around, even added whole side stories to incorporate player thoughts, assumptions, and ideas. Often, they make the story better, more fun for everyone, and deepen their connection to the NPCs. Don't let pride get in the way of a top of the head rewrite that will increase everyone's fun. Having a player's assumption turn out to be right is something you must see to behold the beauty of. They may have been wrong just moments before, but you can make them right in the blink of an eye and your story won't crumble. That said, we've all had players at our table that have bizarre thoughts or ideas that are so off the rails that you can't incorporate them. Much as I encourage you to say yes and feel free to also say no or interesting thought, but nope when they simply won't work, especially if it's something completely anachronistic. Because, yeah, I've had people argue that with the planes, the multiverse, and everything going on, there's no reason that they can't just open a portal every day and have a 1% chance or a 10% of a percent chance to have opened a portal to a futuristic apocalyptic world where they can get a Terminator gun. And like the chances are low. But if you let me roll every single day we start a session, I will accept, every negative roll. I'm thinking to myself, right, because there's no consequence for you having done that. All you're looking at is the chance that you could get thing. And so I usually counter with, as long as you're open to the infinitesimal, tiny little chance that when you do that, something really bad is going to happen, like catastrophically bad. So like, well, why? You're opening random portals to other realities. But, and if you can go in and grab a gun, other things can come through. They're like, well, that's not really how the portals work, is it? I said, yes, it is, exactly. So, as long as you're open to that mind-bending, horrific possibility that any of those things could happen, we can go down this route. If you wanna play roulette with the world, we can do that. Everybody's like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. So, but I like to give them the chance to think about it. They're like, yeah, we're gonna do this. Like, all right, here's where we're going. Um, what would you want in the background of your plant? I don't have a plant. Oh, you mean my character? Oh man, probably cool. Just celestial shapes, like runes and things like that. If you're talking about Godwin, something crazy, crazy and celestial. Let's see if I included an example syllabus with notations in the appendix. The one I use in a modern magical world campaign where there's magic, gods, angels, fairy tale villains, and the like. Basic format is campaign name, campaign flavor quote, the dramatis personae, the main characters, and the players who run them, the extras, section headings, whatever flavor I want to give the section headings determines their name, and a flavor quote for the section, subsections, and an epilogue. Once you have all these things assembled, you're ready to start the campaign and move on for what I consider the most exciting part of being a DM. Execution. Don't let her fool you. All she wants is blood. Blood and flesh. Oh, wait. No, that's Marashi. Never mind. Reach up to 100,000 more users now. Huh? What does that mean? How much do you want to invest? Daily budget, $100. Oh, no. Wow. Okay. Evidently, you can... Don't promote. You can promote your posts on X for money. I'm learning things every day. I was like, whoa, I can promote my post? Oh, for money. Never mind. Oops. I had no idea. I guess it makes sense. Hmm. All right. Got a message from my friend, said they took their new puppy that they've had the dog for probably about, gosh, what month is it right now? It's May now. Got it around Christmas. So yeah, they had it about 5 months. And they went out to the lake today. It wasn't the best day, but they got to run around. And I was looking at it going, it's the picture they sent was a little sunnier than this, but it's pretty dang overcast here. And their dog is, I don't even know, it's not a German Shepherd. It's a little dog like a German Shepherd, like a mini German Shepherd. I don't know what it is. I think they told me what it was once. And the dog loved the beachy area, but loved the mud. And the picture they sent was it just slathered in mud. They were having trouble. They were trying to clean it off, but it kept wanting to play. And so they finally got it cleaned off and back in its little kennel in their car truck thing. And the whole time they were driving away, it was just like whining because it wanted to go back. They're like, we've created a monster. And here's the best part. Their dog's name is Manly. I said, why did you name your dog Manly? I was like, it's not after the guy in Little House on the Prairie. And they're like, oh my God, how do you know about Manly? I was like, I've watched the show Little House on the Prairie. Like, it's exactly why they named him Manly. Okay. Eh. Okay. Let me make a note to myself. Yeah. All right. Go. Exactly. Pay up, wizard. You want people to see that tweet? Show the moolah. Here's $100. Promote it for 5 days. I'm like, no, no. I don't remember why they called that guy Manly on Little House on the Prairie. That was a nickname, right? It was a nickname. Because her name became Wilder, so he must have been Manly Wilder. But it was Laura Ingalls Wilder, right? I think that's the person she married eventually. Too much. Too deep. The lore is too deep. I can't remember. Because her adopted brother's name was Albert. Yeah, I don't remember. I'm sure it's short for something or something like that. All right. Let's see. How much time do I have left here? I'm gonna go for about 10 more minutes. So I'm into the execution portion. So you did your prep work. Campaign has started. Everyone's gathered at the table and ready to start having fun. Now's the time for full-on execution. There's no set formula for this. Instead, there are numerous methods for presentation, engagement, and adjudication. In this chapter, I'll go over the ones I found most useful and how I've utilized them at my table with varied groups of players. For the moment, let's focus on you. Once you have the players at the table, you're in the thick of it, and there's no turning back. Embrace the fear. It's exhilarating, can be a fantastic motivator. Remember to breathe, stay hydrated, get ready to have fun. Stay hydrated. Let's see what Chris says here. Chris with a dagger responded to my post on X. Okay. Interesting. Okay. I love hearing what people think about stuff. I did detailed pictures of the werewolf human characters. Thought, ooh, next group. Next group. All right, order and chaos is the next section. Being able to multitask is an incredibly useful, I might even say essential skill for a DM, as players don't often wait politely in line for you to be done with one thing before they ask questions. You may notice that. You may have seen that. You think, Chrysanth, you ever see that? All right. I just got this as a picture from a friend. Let's see if this shows up properly. This is what's in his hand right now. Bone broth. Because he's been a little under the weather. And I said, you know what's really good for you? Pretty soon I'm going to have everybody eating raw onion and drinking bone broth. And everybody will be so healthy. He said, just what the frost ordered. Yeah, I have some right here. This one's still full. It's the exact same brand too. Exact same flavor. Because that's the one I told him to go grab. Because he wasn't sure. He's like, I don't know. What's it gonna taste like? I said it's gonna taste like broth with, chicken broth with ginger and turmeric in it. You can just heat them up. And he's like, oh, I thought I'd have to make it myself. I'm like, no, no, no. You just pull that plastic lid off, pull the pop top off, throw it away, and then put that thing in, heat it up for a minute, put the plastic cap back on, and then let it sit and let it even the temperature out between the broth from inside and out. And you're good. You will never eat raw onion. Well, I'll eat it for everybody concerned. I think the same about the broth. It's so good though. All right, here. Let's see. Take the time you need to make notes to answer these questions, perform general bookkeeping and refereeing. You set the tone, the pace, and the rules of engagement at the table. Having loose control of the chaos is a critical skill to develop. Thanks, AI, for trying to correct my language. No, I'm not saying having lose. It's loose. Loose control. One thing you can do to help maintain order is to keep a slip of paper with each player's name on it next to you. If they ask a question, flip it up, put it on top of your notes. When you're done answering them, put it back in the pile face down. More than one person has a question, put all their slips face up at once, and once you address them, put them back in the pile. You can use tokens, folded pieces of paper, drape over the top of your DM screen, whatever works for you. So I've done that before. Do I even have a strip of paper here? Should. I have lots of paper near me. Can I afford to rip a piece of paper up? Maybe not. Wow, I do not really have a piece of just wrapping paper here. No, that's an important piece of paper. I have too many pieces of important paper, I guess, evidently. What's this one? What's this scrap of paper? Ah, okay, here we go. We're going to rip a strip off here. So, what I'm talking about is, if I can find my pen. Oh my gosh, where'd my pen go now? What have I done with all my stuff? Everything is missing. This is what I get when I clean my desk. I knock things over. I can't even find my pen. Well, you're going to figure out what I mean in a second here. If, say this Triscuit box is the top of my DM screen, all I do when somebody has a question and I'm in the middle of something, sometimes I will just take that and stick it up there. And it has their name on the back and the front for me. And while I'm doing stuff, I'm like, oh, that's right, you had a question. That's only if it's like a lot of people. If it's not a lot of people, I don't worry about it. I've done that before, keeping track of initiative at a table because people want to know who goes next. And I will put their strips of paper facing them. So this person's first in initiative, this person's next, then monster, the next person, so they can remember who's next. And because normally I just make a little list of who goes where, but this way it's a little visual representation. Oh boy, my hair, it's beautiful. Oh, thank you. I do absolutely nothing to it. I look like a little bit like a drowned rat today because I went outside and I was quite a ways away from home when I got rained on. It was a microburst, just boom. Kind of sucked. I didn't have a hood or anything. I was like, what? I was like literally all the way across the yard, all the way over by the trees because I was cutting down a piece of a dead branch. And it just boom out of nowhere. What the heck? By the time I got to the front porch, I was quite wet. Blanc. It's honestly, it's because of all the onion. Right? Oh yeah, it was kind of funny because as soon as the rain started pattering down, the cats who run like 50,000 times faster than me were just like, doom. They're like, we're out of here, buddy. Just like, thanks for leaving me behind, dorks. And they're just up on the porch like, how you doing? Yeah, jerks, move off my couch. So I sat on the couch on the front porch with them for a little bit until the rain stopped. Next time on the next stream, when I have an onion, I'll just take a bite out of it like an apple for you. My brother used to eat kohlrabi like that in the garden when we were little kids. I would eat carrots right out of the ground. We just wash them off with the hose or in a bucket. I'd just be chewing on carrots and stuff while we were doing garden work. Let's see. Oh yeah, if you're attending or hosting a virtual session of a game, players will often whisper to the DM, either inside the software the game is run on or in a separate chat program. Even text on your phone. Keeping track of these is trickier, but you can use the token or slip of paper method at your desk if you'd like a physical reminder. My hair, until I got to be probably about 17, was pretty short. When I was a kid, my mom used to shave our heads in the summer, or my stepfather would technically take us to the barber and get her head shaved because she hated maintaining it and dealing with it. We were out in the country, so ticks and tangles in your hair and mess, it was just way quicker. You just scrub your head off and you're done. And when I got into college, I was like, I can have my hair long. And of course, the girls thought it was cool, so I was even more like, oh, well, fine, it's going to get even longer. So then pretty soon I had my hair down to my back of my belt. Neighbor had stopped by when I was mowing the lawn to give me figs from a tree and was so happy when I just rinsed them off with the hose and ate them. Oh, nice. Look at you with your friendly neighbors. Let's see. The last little bit here before I go. DMing for a group of players is similar to doing improv, but not quite as unscripted, not quite as spontaneous. You have notes, ideas, and if you've been playing together for a while, there will be some history to draw from. If you're at the start of a campaign, it's fresh. It means you'll need to rely on the specifics in your notes rather heavily until things get moving. Always pause briefly to take that critical note, a new character, their motivation, a place, anything you can't afford to forget. Do it while the player is talking or just pause. The moments like you take for those notes will be well worth it down the road. If you can multitask and talk while taking the notes, it's even better. That totally sounded like Toffee again. She's just been a terror the last day. Well, week. If you can multitask, yeah, remember, lose control is the goal. All right. Eat berry bug and all. You just eat whatever you get. It's extra. It's free. Wee. All right. Well, I have to get going and do some more stuff before I get. We're going to do our recording for Fear of Ages Past this afternoon in a few hours, so I've got a few other things to do, but I made some headway here. I made some new notes. I got some writing done earlier. I got to talk. I got to chat. All this stuff. So, I am going to get the heck out of here. I really don't know how to do allowing raids and stuff like that on YouTube. I'm going to have to look into that and see if that's some kind of a thing. I have no idea. I don't know how that even works. But anyway, thank you for coming on by. I will talk to you all a little bit later. Have a great Saturday. And when I get done streaming, or not streaming, but recording with the guys later, maybe I'll be hopping on to play some more Clair Obscur or something. I guess we'll see. All right, I'm going to get the heck out of here. So I will talk to you all a little later.